Alright, welcome back to our podcast. I am the gentleman, accompanied by the disturbed Southern Belle.
Hello.
And in this episode, we will be discussing James Butler Hickok, also known as Wild Bill.
Woo!
So, James Butler Hickok was born on May 27th of 1837. He later went on to be not only a folk hero of the Old West, but was known for his life as a soldier, a scout, a lawman, a cattle rustler, a gunslinger, a gambler, a showman, and an actor, as well as his involvement in numerous gunfights.
Wow.
So he had an active life.
He had an active life.
So, while he gained a lot of deserved notoriety, there are also many bolstered and outlandish stories that he was well known to tell about himself.
Right.
So as for his early life, he was born in Homer, Illinois, to William Alonzo Hickok and Pamela Hickok.
Mm-hmm.
His father was a farmer and abolitionist, born the fourth of 6 children. His father was said to have used the family house, which is no longer standing, as a station for the Underground Railroad.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
He was on the right side of history there.
Yeah, very cool, actually. That's very interesting. I mean, I would have never have ever thought that he would have been, if his family would have been involved in the Underground Railroad. So that's very cool.
It is. So, his father died sometime in 1852 when Hickok was only 15.
Mm-hmm.
He was recognized at a young age for shooting and had become known as an outstanding marksman with a pistol.
Right.
So, at the age of 18, he left Illinois after a fight with a man named Charles Hudson, during which the two men fell into a canal, leading them to believe they had killed each other.
So each one thought they'd killed the other, and neither. Oh, that's so funny.
So he soon ended up in Leavenworth,
Right.
which was in the Kansas Territory.
Mm-hmm.
While there, he joined Jim Lane's Free State Army, which was also known as the Jayhawkers.
All right.
It's an interesting name.
Yes. Okay.
So, the Army was an anti-slavery vigilante group that was very active in the area.
So they're kind of like the opposite of the bushwhacker kind of people. They were the ones that were the Confederate side. The Jayhawkers were against it. Gotcha.
So, while there, he met a 12-year-old boy by the name of William Cody, who later then went on to become infamous Buffalo Bill.
Oh, that's cool. Buffalo Bill Cody, yeah. Definitely heard of him.
So, if you don't know, Buffalo Bill, despite his young age, was actually serving as a scout 2 years later for the U.S. Army during the Utah War.
So like 14, that is young.
Very young, and apparently, obviously, very
talented,
at what he did.
To survive and everything, for sure.
So, also, for those who don't know, the Utah War was a confrontation between Mormon settlers in the area and the Army.
Right.
So, as for his early career, on March 22nd of 1858, he was elected as one of the first 4 constables of the Monticello Township. So, sometime in 1859, he joined the Russell Majors and Waddell Freight Company, which was the parent company of the Pony Express.
Oh, that's cool, too.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know, the Pony Express, which I imagine most people do know, was an American Express mail service in which mail was sent out using relays of horseback riders between Missouri and California.
Right. It was actually kind of cool because they would ride out, meet somebody, they'd go so far that, it was neat.
So, while driving a freight train sometime in 1860, he was attacked and badly injured by a bear, of all things.
My gosh.
According to the account given by Hickok, the road was blocked by a bear and its 2 cubs. He had dismounted and approached the bear, then fired a shot into its head. However, the bullet only ricocheted off of its skull.
Good God.
And this, unsurprisingly, made the once docile creature very irritated.
I imagine so, yes.
So, the bear attacked, crushing him with its immense weight. He managed to fire off another shot during the chaos, which managed to wound the bear's paw. This led to the bear then to grab his arm in its mouth, but Hickok was able to free his knife and slit the bear's throat. He was left severely injured and had suffered a crushed chest, shoulder, and arm.
Good God.
Which left him bedridden for 4 months.
I guess so.
After some recovery, he was then sent to Rock Creek Station, which was located in the Nebraska Territory. While there, he worked as a stable hand and continued to recover from his injuries.
Right.
So, in the Nebraska Territory, the freight company had built a stagecoach stop that was along the Oregon Trail near Fairbury, Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
The land on which the stop had been purchased had been owned by a man named David McNallis, or McCandless, rather.
Right.
McCandless, whatever. This man went to the Rock Creek Station office to demand an overdue property payment from the station manager, Horace Wellman, on July 12, 1861.
Mm-hmm.
It's unclear who fired the shot that killed McCandless, but Wellman, who he had threatened, or Hickok, who had
Right.
reportedly been hiding behind a curtain when he heard the man enter in a rage. Hickok, Wellman, and other employees were tried for killing Wellman. However, they were found to have acted in self-defense.
Well, it sounds like they probably did, but
Yeah.
I don't know. He might have just been reared up, but that don't mean he. But he could have had his guns out. I don't
Yeah.
know.
This was the Wild West.
Right. Exactly. Who knows?
Anything could have happened.
Exactly. Who knows?
So, it's claimed that Hickok had later visited the man's widow and apologized for the killing, and then offered her $35 in restitution, which may not seem like much, but back then it would be equivalent to $1,225.
So not a small sum, yeah.
No, still not much, but
Right.
not a little amount.
No, right.
So this was claimed to have been all the money he had with him at the time.
So it kind
And-
of does sound like maybe either he killed him or at least he felt guilty about
Yeah.
it. Something.
This was believed to have been his first murder.
Mm.
So after this, he had became a teamster for the Union Army in April of 1861. By the end of the year, he had moved up to wagon master, which was the person that would oversee the transportation of a group of wagons that could be carrying anything from people to cargo to standard mail.
Right.
To acquire such a position, it would typically require the person to exhibit several skills, including survival skills in different terrains, fighting and warfare skills so that they were able to fend off attacks.
Right.
Experience in animal husbandry so that they could assist if an animal became sick on a journey.
Right.
Mechanical skills so that wagon repairs could be completed as needed.
Right.
Hunting skills so that limited supplies could be supplemented along the way. Climate and weather knowledge so that they could determine if an incoming storm was too dangerous to travel through. Knowledge of different terrains so that they could direct the wagons on paths that could be safely crossed. Basic medical and dental knowledge, and negotiating and counseling skills so they could help to solve disagreements without the group or those they might encounter along the way.
Right. So you had to be pretty smart, basically. You had to know a lot
Yeah.
of stuff to be he was a talented individual to have made it up to wagon master, basically.
Oh, absolutely.
So that is actually very cool. All the things that I didn't even realize all they had to know. So that's amazing.
Yeah,
He
it
had a
is.
lot of knowledge then, so that's cool.
So, an article published in the 1883 History of Greene County described him as by nature a ruffian, a swaggering fellow who delighted when he was on a spree to frighten nervous men and timid women.
Oh, God. And it probably didn't take much.
Probably
Because
not.
everybody was so prudish back, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. It's funny.
God, I would love to see that.
Yes, that would have been hilarious.
So, anyways, while in Springfield, Wild Bill met a local gambler by the name of Davis Tutt.
Uh-huh.
The two went on to have several altercations over unpaid gambling debts and their common affection for the same woman.
Oh, God. Of course.
Yeah.
Love triangles.
Yep. Always fun.
Always.
So, later, during a game of poker, Hickok had lost a watch to Tutt, and he asked Tutt not to wear the watch in public, to which he initially agreed. However, it wasn't long before Tutt was seen in public by Hickok wearing the watch.
Oh.
So the two men faced off on July 21st of 1865 in the Springfield Town Square. Tutt's shot missed. However, Hickok's shot struck Tutt through the heart
Good
at a distance
God.
of approximately 75 yards, or roughly 225 feet.
Good God, that is good
That's
aim.
a hell of a shot.
That's good aim, man. Yeah.
So Tutt then yelled out, "Boys, I'm killed," before collapsing and dying.
Oh, gosh. It's not funny, but my gosh.
It's fairly funny.
It is, but yeah.
Just the, "Boys, I'm killed."
Yeah, it's okay. Alrighty.
Anyways, 2 days later, Hickok was arrested for murder, then charged the charge was later reduced to manslaughter, and the jury voted to clear Hickok, which led to public backlash.
Mm.
Okay, so just for a second, I have to point out that was self-defense.
Mm.
Tut fired first.
Right. If he fired first, yeah, it would have been self-defense, technically.
Now, I don't know about the laws back then.
Right.
I don't know if that's what it would have legally been.
Right. I don't
but
either.
By nowadays standards,
Right.
the other guy shot first.
Technically, right, so he just returned fire.
Wild Bill was just defending himself.
Technically, yes. If that's the case, and that is what happened.
This is just a technicality,
Right.
I know, because I'm pretty sure Wild Bill initiated the thing.
It sounds like it, but yeah. Yeah.
Anywho. So, while in Kansas, he received a recommendation for the position of Deputy Federal Marshal at Fort Riley, Kansas.
Wow.
During this time, he also sometimes served as a scout for General George A. Custer.
Wow.
Yeah. So, while working as a scout in Fort Harker, Kansas in July 1867, Hickok told a local reporter that he had led several soldiers in pursuit of a group of Indians that had killed 4 men near the fort on July 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
He stated later that he returned with 5 prisoners after having killed 10 others. However, witnesses claim that while the group he led did set out to find the murderers of the 4 men, when they returned from their search, there was not a single Indian with them alive or dead.
Uh-huh.
So, nah.
Do with that what you will, I guess.
So, sometime in December of 1867, he settled in Hays City, Kansas. While there, he became a U.S. Marshal, and on March 22nd, in 1868, he was able to apprehend 11 Union Army deserters who had been charged with stealing government property. He, along with Buffalo Bill Cody and 6 others, escorted the group of 11 to Topeka for trial. So Hickok was hired after that in September of 1868 as a scout by the 10th Cavalry Regiment, which was a segregated African-American unit. He was wounded in the foot on September 4th of 1868 while he was helping to rescue several cattlemen who had become surrounded by Indians. So in July of 1869, he returned to Hays and was elected City Marshal of Hays and Sheriff of Ellis County, Kansas. A newspaper article reported that he had arrested offenders on August 18th and that the commander of Fort Hays had written a letter to the general on August 21st in which he praised Hickok's effort in arresting deserters.
Well.
Yeah. So, Hickok had been elected during a special election that had been held on August 23rd of 1869, and it's thought that he may have been acting sheriff before the official election. However, the normal county election date was held on November 2nd of 1869. Hickok decided to run as an independent, but later lost to his deputy, Peter Lanahan. Hickok then went on to be deputy for Lanahan.
That's kind of funny. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Okay.
So, on December 9th of 1869, Hickok accused a man named J.V. McIntosh of misconduct during the election, which had then caused him to lose the election. Legal papers were served to McIntosh, and shortly after, local newspapers reported that Hickok had the guardianship over Hays City. During September of 1869, which was his first month as sheriff, Hickok killed 2 men.
Good
Bill
God.
Mulvey being the first, and Mulvey had ridden into town on a drunken rampage, shooting out windows.
Good God.
He was told to behave as Hickok was the sheriff, but Mulvey then declared that he had come to town to kill Hickok.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's definitely something you want to do.
Yeah.
Threaten to kill basically the acting sheriff.
The sheriff, and this man is shooting people from like 250 feet, like through the heart. Yeah, let's take this guy on.
Oh, absolutely. So the second man killed by Hickok during his first month as sheriff was Samuel Strawhan, who was a cowboy that had been causing a disturbance at approximately 1 a.m. on September 27th. Hickok and his deputy, Lanahan, headed to the scene, where Strawhan was later shot in the head and killed by Hickok after Strawhan had made remarks about Hickok. Hickok later stated that he was trying to restore order.
So he shot
That
him.
seems more like just tripping on power a little bit.
A little bit, because it sounds like, well, I don't know what he said, but still, I mean, you know, it just sounds like he was mouthing off and he just shot him. But
Yeah.
maybe it was more to it. We don't know.
Possibly. Anyways, Hickok was later attacked on July 17th of 1870 by 2 troopers from the 7th U.S. Cavalry. Jeremiah Lonergan, and John Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
While in a saloon, Lonergan pinned Hickok to the ground, while Kyle then put his gun to Hickok's head and fired. However, his gun misfired.
Oh.
Hickok was then able to shoot Lonergan, wounding him in the knee. Before then, he shoots Kyle twice,
Oh, God.
killing him.
Mm-hmm.
Hickok later lost his next bid for re-election in November of 1870.
That's kind of funny that he keeps losing these elections. Oh, my gosh. But anyway.
So, after this, he becomes Marshal of Abilene, Kansas,
Mm-hmm.
on April 15th of 1871, replacing the former marshal who had been killed while serving an arrest warrant in November of 1870.
Oh, well, yeah. Let's replace that guy.
Yeah. So, John Wesley Hardin, who was a well-known outlaw and gunslinger and supposed killer of 27 men, met Hickok after coming to Abilene at the end of a cattle drive in early 1871.
Mm-hmm.
So how close the men were is unclear, but there does appear to be some evidence that they, at the very least, were acquaintances beforehand.
Right.
So, in August of 1871, Hickok was looking for Hardin for the killing of Charles Cougar. Hardin has reportedly killed Cougar at the Abilene Hotel after Cougar has been snoring too loudly.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I guess,
Yeah.
well.
So, a local newspaper reported a man was killed in his bed at a hotel in Abilene Monday night by a desperado called Arkansas. The murderer escaped, and this was his 6th murder.
Good God.
So, after this, Phil Coe, who was a saloon owner and acquaintance of John Hardin, Coe and Hickok got into an altercation that ended in a shootout. The Bull's Head Saloon, located in Abilene, was owned by Coe and his partner, Ben Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
To make the saloon stand out to passerby, the men painted a picture of a bull with a large erect member on the side of the building.
Because why not?
Yes.
I love it.
However, the townspeople weren't too happy about the men's sense of humor, so to speak.
Right.
And they complained to Hickok numerous times about the lewd drawing.
Right.
Hickok obliged and asked the men to remove the image. The men refused, and to which Hickok painted over the offending part of the image himself.
Mm-hmm.
This infuriated the men because, hey, he'd cut off the best part.
Right.
So this led to Ben Thompson trying to get Hardin, who was present at the time of the incident, to kill Hickok. He did this by telling Hardin he's a damn Yankee, picks on rebels, especially Texans.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, that's not something you want to tell someone around those parts.
No.
So, Hardin was in town under the alias of Wesley Clemens, but was better known to the people in the area as Little Arkansas.
Right.
Hardin then is claimed to have replied, "If Bill needs killing, why don't you kill him yourself?"
Well.
That's fair enough.
Fair enough, right. I don't blame him.
Coe, then in an act to intimidate Hickok, is said to have exclaimed that he would kill a crow on the wing. Okay. To which Hickok replied, "Did the crow have a pistol? Was he shooting back? I will be."
I love it. I love
absolutely.
it. I love it.
So, on October 5th of 1871, Hickok was in the middle of a standoff with was in the middle of standing off a crowd during a street brawl
Right.
that had gotten out of control when Coe fired 2 shots. Hickok then ordered him to be arrested for firing a gun within the city limits.
Right.
Coe then claimed that he was shooting at a stray dog. Then, without warning, Coe swung his weapon at Hickok. But guess who was faster? Hickok shot and killed Coe. In an account of the incident written by the mayor of Abilene at the time, he writes, "Phil Coe was from Texas, ran the Bull's Head, a saloon and gambling den, sold whiskey and men's souls. As a vile character as I have ever met for some cause, Wild Bill incurred Coe's hatred, and he vowed to secure the death of the marshal. Not having the courage to do it himself, he one day filled about 200 cowboys with whiskey, intending to get them into trouble with Wild Bill.
Right.
He hoped they would get shooting and in the melee. Soon the marshal, shoot the marshal. Bleh.
In the melee. Right. I
Yes.
got you.
I can't talk today.
It's okay.
But Coe reckoned without his host. Wild Bill had learned of the scheme and cornered Coe. He then had his 2 pistols drawn on Coe, Just as he pulled one trigger, one of the policemen rushed around the corner, and both balls entered his body, killing him instantly. In an instant, he pulled the triggers again, sending 2 bullets into Coe's abdomen. Hickok then whirled with his 2 guns drawn at the drunken crowd of cowboys, then stated, "And now do any of you fellows want the rest of these bullets?"
Oh, he has got some balls on him, I'm telling you.
Not a word was uttered.
I don't blame him. I don't think I would have wanted any of them either.
Nah. This man has too many good one-liners.
He does. He is.
You do not want to mess with him.
Nope.
They come too naturally.
Yeah, for real, right?
Anyways, it was reported that after shooting Coe, Hickok had glimpsed someone running at him. In the chaos, he fired 2 more shots, which hit and accidentally killed Special Deputy Marshal Mike William. This was said to be the last time Hickok was ever involved in a gunfight. The accidental shooting of the deputy had haunted him for the remainder of his days.
Yeah, and it sounds like it was probably chaotic and
Oh, absolutely.
people running everywhere, and it probably was an accident in that case.
Yeah. So, sometime around 1872, Hickok recruited 2 Native Americans and 3 cowboys, who would then accompany him to Niagara Falls, and while there, they put on an outdoor demonstration called the Daring Buffalo Chase of the Plains. However, due to the event being held outdoors, he could not sell tickets. That's fair.
Yeah.
This led to the show's financial failure, as
Right.
you can imagine. The show featured 6 buffalo, a bear, and a monkey.
A monkey?
A monkey.
Okay.
So, one show ended in disaster when one of the buffalo refused to act.
Right.
This led Bill to fire his gun into the air, which enraged the buffalo and led to animals breaking free of their wired fencing and chasing audience members, some of whom were trampled.
Oh my gosh.
This, combined with poor ticket sales, led to the closure of the show.
I can imagine, yes.
So, sometime in 1873, Buffalo Bill and Texas Jack invited Wild Bill to join their troupe. Hickok was not fond of acting and was known to hide behind scenery.
It's funny.
In one show, when the spotlight focused on him, he took out his gun and shot it. A few months after this incident, he was released from the group.
I can see why. It's too funny. I love it.
Why is that someone's first reaction
I don't know,
to the
but
spotlight?
it's just funny too. He's like,
I'll admit, I'm not fond of it myself,
Right.
but I don't think I'll just pull out a gun and just
Well,
start blasting.
right. I don't either, but it's still funny. But okay.
It is absolutely hilarious. So, anyways, after this, Bill met Agnes Thatcher Lake on July 31st of 1871. She was a widower of the age of 45 and the proprietor of Lake Hippo Olympiad Lake Hippo Olympiad Circus.
Well, that's a name for you.
Yes. She met Hickok when she had gone to the town marshal to pay the fee needed to perform in town. She and her circus only stayed in town for 1 day, however, and she and Bill continued their relationship via letters and telegrams. On March 5th of 1876, the two married in Cheyenne, Wyoming territory. He left his new bride only a few months later to join in Charlie Utter's wagon train, hoping to seek his fortune in the gold fields of South Dakota.
Ah, yeah, everybody was heading that way.
Yeah. So, in a letter he wrote to his wife shortly before his death, he writes, "Agnes, darling, if such should be we never meet again, while firing my last shot, I will gently breathe the name of my wife, Agnes. And, with wishes, even for my enemies, I will make the plunge and try to swim to the other shore." So he's a poet, too.
Sounds like it.
Grand.
I mean, yeah. This is a man who can do anything.
It
Sounds
like it.
I mean,
Because it
gosh.
sounds like he has done everything.
It does. He's been everywhere and done all kinds of just amazing things. Yeah.
So, sometime on August 1st of 1876, Bill was playing poker at Nuttall and Man's Saloon, number 10, in Deadwood, Dakota Territory.
Mm-hmm.
When a seat opened up at the table he was playing, and a heavily intoxicated Jack McCall then sat down at the table to play.
Mm-hmm.
McCall, in his drunken stupor, proceeded to lose, and quite badly. Hickok then heavily encouraged McCall to quit the game until he could cover the money he already owed, and even offered to give McCall money to pay for some breakfast. So McCall accepted Bill's money, however he was said to have been offended at the gesture.
Okay.
That makes no sense,
It
but alright.
doesn't.
So the following day, Hickok was again playing poker. He would normally sit at the table that had a chair available where he could have his back facing a wall and where he was facing the entrance.
Right.
However, on this day, the only table available had only a seat with the chair facing a wall and away from the door.
Right.
He is said to have asked another man to change seats with him, but the man refused. McGall soon after entered the saloon and walked behind Hickok, drew his .45 caliber revolver and shouted, "Take that," before then shooting Hickok in the back of the head at point blank range.
Good God.
At the time of his death, Bill was playing either 5-card stud or 5-card draw. He was holding 2 pairs, black aces and black eights, and an unknown hold card, which had become widely known as the dead man's hand.
Yep.
So, Charlie Utter, who was Hickok's friend, claimed his body and then placed a notice in the local newspaper, the Black Hills Pioneer, which read, "Died in Deadwood, Black Hills, August 2nd, 1876, from the effects of a pistol shot. J.B. Hickok, Wild Bill, formerly of Cheyenne, Wyoming. Funeral services will be held at Charlie Utter's camp on Thursday afternoon, August 3rd, 1876, at 3 o'clock p.m. All are respectfully invited to attend." Almost the entire town went to Utter's camp for the funeral. Utter had Hickok buried with a wooden marker that read, "Wild Bill, J.B. Hickok, killed by assassin John McCall in Deadwood, Black Hills, August 2nd, 1876. Pard, we will meet again in the happy hunting ground to part no more. Goodbye, Colorado Charlie, C.H. Utter." So he was very well liked.
Yeah.
Which
Sounds
is
like it.
pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
So, Hickok was originally buried in Ingleside Cemetery. However, due to the graveyard becoming overly filled, Utter paid to have Hickok's remains moved to Mount Moriah Cemetery on the 3rd anniversary of his burial. Hickok was removed from his grave, or when Hickok was removed from his grave, he was found to be eerily preserved due to high amounts of calcium carbonate in the soil in which he was buried. Hickok had become sort of petrified.
Oh my gosh.
A worker named Joseph McClintock wrote a detailed description of the event. He claims that he used a cane to tap the body, face, and head, finding no soft tissue anywhere. He stated that the sound was similar to tapping a brick wall.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah. The casket and remains were estimated to have weighed approximately 500 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Or 230 kilograms. This made moving the body very difficult.
I imagine so.
So, the original grave marker was actually removed as well. However, it was destroyed by souvenir seekers who whittled pieces away.
Of course.
A statue was later put up but it too was badly defaced, which led to it being enclosed in a cage. However, the enclosure was cut open and the statue stolen sometime in the 1950s.
Oh, good God.
People don't have respect.
No, they don't. At all.
So, while he wasn't an outlaw in the more traditional sense, this man did live an outlaw lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And it was
He
a
lived-
hell of a life.
He did. I mean, if nothing else, you can say he lived a life. I mean...
This is why he's one of my absolute favorite
He is.
people. There's people in general
Right.
in American history.
He's cool character. And he's got a lot of good lines. If he said those things, awesome.
And the fact that they just seem to just come to him
Right.
in an instant.
Exactly. Yeah, he's very cool.
You do not want to mess with a man who's capable of that.
No.
Who's capable of coming up with just such solid one-liners.
Right.
In an instant.
Exactly.
It never works out for the person who
Doesn't
messes
seem
with
to,
them.
does it? It doesn't seem like it worked out for them because the guy who got him just got him, let's just be honest, snuck up on him.
Yeah.
Got, you know.
He didn't even say anything cool. Take that.
Yeah.
thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
God,
Ah.
it's a shame, but yeah.
Yeah, and it sucks he had to go out like that.
Yeah.
But
He deserved a better death.
he
than
did,
that.
definitely.
But that ends the tale of Wild Bill Hickok, one of the greatest outlaws and marshals in American history,
Oh, yeah.
in my opinion.
Definitely.
So I do invite any who are listening to this episode to write down in the comments below who you think, if you agree with my sentiments, if you think someone else is better. Anyone you want us to cover, leave them down below. We
Right.
will likely be continuing this series for a while because there's quite a few.
There's a few more we want to get in there, yes.
So I'll turn it over to Belle so she can give us an outro.
So, we are going to be getting our YouTube series back up and running shortly. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. And don't forget to stay disturbed.